guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm gonna talk about the new Stephen King adaptation, The Long Walk. And I'm trying to record without a microphone today because in my earlier videos there was a slight ringing sound, and I think it was coming from my headphones. So I'm gonna try completely without a mic and see if the sound is okay. I hope that it's not too low. But anyways, let's start talking about the movie. I saw it in theaters today. I wanted to see it earlier, but it premiered in Sweden 2 days ago, so I could only see it basically now. I knew the movie was gonna be really gruesome, but I gotta say it was worse than I expected. There's many parts of it that I really liked, but they were also really gruesome and horrible. But I think the whole movie is kind of reflecting on war and how young boys go into the military and into war, kind of like they're being hyped up for it, like this is a challenge that you're gonna go through, and then like you're gonna fight for your country, and when you win you're gonna be a hero. But in the end, in war there's no winner, and you see that in the end as well. I'm not gonna spoil who the winner is, but there is a winner, obviously. And when he wins, there's like fireworks and people cheering for him. But you can see in his facial expressions that it did not feel like a victory, because the things that he went through on that road will be traumatizing forever, and that is a loss in itself. And also he made friends on the road, on the long walk, so losing them also just doesn't, feel right either. It really I think he felt like he was a loss to win, because he has to live with that pain. But there was a lot of lines and a lot of moments in it that I really liked. I liked kind of the first kill, or the first death. I did not like the fact that he died, but I do like the message with it, how gruesome it was, and how that reflects on war, and how gruesome war is, and how young innocent people are being killed, and how graphic it really is. And well, I really should have wrote a script for this, because I don't have at the top of my head what I should say. But yeah, I also liked how Ray said that it is technically voluntary to be part of the long walk, but since the major, or whatever his name, whatever he was called, he kind of has made the world a bad place, and then makes it seem like the long walk is the only way to live a good life, like the only way out. Then everybody applies because they feel like it's the only chance at a good life. So therefore, it's not really voluntary. And I feel like it's the same with war. Although you don't really have a choice, you just get picked and then you have to go. But technically, you still have a choice. Even like if you say no, you could be imprisoned or murdered, but you still got a choice. But it doesn't feel like a choice when you're being punished for not participating, you know? So yeah, and I like how they're really like building the movie on dialogue and morals and how important it is to be there for each other and hype each other up and really just be there for each other, because there's this scene up that hill where you hear a lot of gunshots and it's like it hurts to watch because you just hear all the gunshots at the same time as you see the main character Ray start to struggle intensely because they have been walking for 24 hours almost at that point. And it's a really hard hill. Like, it was hard to get up, especially when they were all so tired. And then one of the walkers start to talk badly to him, like, "Oh, you're gonna give up. You're not gonna be able to do this. You're gonna give in, aren't you? Look at that weapon in your head. This is your third warning. Like, you suck. You should give up," type shit. But then, when he's really close to giving up and dying, his friend Pete comes in and saves him by taking his arm, encouraging him to keep going and really like telling him what to focus on and really helping him get up that hill and get through the moment. And I thought that was really beautiful because it really shows how important it is to be there for each other and how important encouragement is and how bullying can really mess with somebody and how important it is to not be a fucking asshole, basically, because bullying does have an impact and what you do towards others has an impact. And it also, I forgot what I was going to say next. Yep. The one thing I did not really like about the movie, I think this is the only criticism I have, and that is that the movie is kind of unrealistic, because at the end they had been walking for 5 days without sleep, and I like walking. I've done like 50,000 steps challenge and 100,000 step challenge and stuff like that, and I think 2 years ago I walked for 12 hours with only 2 hours of sleep, and at the end of that day, after 12 hours of walking, I was done. If it was life or death, I could probably keep walking for a little longer, but not much longer. After 12 hours of walking with only 2 hours of sleep, I almost fainted, and I did eat, and I also took 2 or 3 breaks. I think maybe an hour of break in total, so more like 11 hours of walking, I suppose. And I do not see how it would be humanly possible to walk for 5 days straight without a break, without sleep. Because I think on day 3 they would start hallucinating. I think people would start fainting and also die of natural causes after, like, on the 4th day they should not be looking that well. Like, in the end, the last 5 people walking, they obviously looked tired, but they didn't look, I have walked for 4 to 5 days straight, tired, you know? They looked like they had been walking for 24 hours, in my opinion. They were sweaty and tired, but after 5 days of walking, only walking and no sleep, you wouldn't just be tired and sweaty, you'd be exhausted and you wouldn't barely be able to speak. They were speaking very well, which I thought was really unrealistic as well, because after 5 days of no sleep, you'd be hallucinating, barely able to talk, because your brain wouldn't be working. Especially not as well as Pete. I feel like he was the most unrealistic character. I loved Pete, but it wasn't realistic how much energy he always had. I get that he was still tired, but he saved Ray multiple times, and he always looked like he had a lot of energy left. And that's just not realistic. Like, he has to be like a saint or something. I don't know. Like, he can't be human. Because I think he's the only one that never got a warning just by himself. He probably got a warning while trying to help someone else, but he never got a warning while just walking. He never lost pace. He never looked tired until maybe the end, but he didn't look like he had been walking for 5 days without sleep. So that was quite unrealistic. But aside from the realism, I think it was an amazing movie. It was really gruesome though, especially the first death. You could really see the bullet going through his head, and it was worse than I thought it'd be. I have seen many horror movies, many movies with a lot of gore, but never have I felt this type of, like, emotion from a gruesome movie. Like, I've seen the Terrifier movies. Yuck, they are disgusting, but I think, considering there's a lot of emotions involved in The Long Walk, it felt a lot worse. Like, the gore felt worse because you really connected with the characters, and it just felt so gruesome every time a character died, and it hurt my soul to watch the movie. And I think it was like it really shows, or it only shows a small part of how gruesome war is, and especially wars going on right now, like in Gaza and Ukraine and lots of other places in the world where not only soldiers are dying but innocent people that shouldn't be involved. And I think it's important to make movies or videos talking about war, because war is truly one of the most horrible things to exist ever. I really don't understand why it's still legal to start war. And it angers me how anybody would think it's okay. And I think that's what the movie kind of symbolizes as well, because the major or whatever, in the beginning he kind of hypes them up like you all are brave, like you're all real men now, and they all just, they know that the long walk is something dangerous, but they don't really realize the how bad and gruesome it is until the first person dies. And I think that symbolizes also how many people just see war and see people talking about war in the media and think, damn, that's horrible, but then moves on with their life. And I think it symbolizes how people only realize how horrible war is when they're involved in it, when they're faced with reality. How many people choose to ignore it until they experience it, you know? And I think this movie also, at least for me, it raised a lot of thoughts. And I think that's the point of the movie as well, to raise thoughts so people can have discussions over it, because it's worth talking about the movie, but also war in general, and how there's never a winner in war. Nobody can win in war. And how there isn't really a good or bad side. I mean, to an extent, if you take Israel and Palestine for an example, Israel are doing horrible stuff, but there are innocent people in Israel that have suffered as well. But this suffering in Palestine is a lot worse, and the government, what they're doing is really so horrible that I think there is a clear good and bad side, but it's still not black and white, because innocent people have died in both places, and like I said, there is never a winner in war, and it's just fucking stupid. It angers me how people can do such gruesome acts and then defend it and brainwash people, like in Israel. Israeli people are being brainwashed to think that it's okay. It angers me. not showing a lot of emotion right now because I'm trying to stay calm. But when I talk about this in a normal tone, I usually show a lot more emotion. And I'm also slightly awkward in front of camera, that's why I'm not showing a lot of emotion. But truly, war angers me more than anything in the world, really. Anyways, my overall rating of the movie is, I think, a 9 out of 10 because it was slightly unrealistic, but it had a good message, had good dialogue, and it was really emotional. And it also raises discussion about important subjects such as war and morals. And I 100% recommend this movie. But don't watch it if you want to have a fun night with your friends, because it's not a fun movie at all. Be prepared that it's very gruesome and very sad and like a dark movie in general. Anyways, that's all I had to say about this movie, and I hope you enjoyed my review of The Long Walk, and I hope to see you in my next video.